Hi everyone, welcome back to Live Darts. We're here at the Citywest in Dublin and we've got Duzza, Glen Durrant. Glenn, you're smiling now. Have you had time to reflect from last night?
Yeah, the reflection is that, for people watching this now, is that you play a game, high intensity, high preparation, etc., and then you're interviewed like a minute or two after that final double. And I think my answer to the way I was last night is a little bit like Daryl Gurney. I used to watch him and think, he's always on a downer even after a win. And thinking about it last night, I was thinking, why? I'm in the last 16 of the World Grand Prix. Lots of positives. My Dublin was great. I know that my scoring game's there, but it wasn't last night. I beat an informed player. I should have been happy. And I just think I know what I'm doing at the moment. I know I'm practicing well. And when you don't produce that all the time, sometimes you can feel like you've let yourself down a little bit. So I'm so determined now to learn from that and relax a little bit more, enjoy the moment, because I'm in the top 16 of the world in a double off, which is a real leveller, and I've got a great chance to progress in a tournament. So on reflection, disappointed that I was calling myself miserable and feeling down when actually I should have been delighted.
That first set, Christoph threw everything and more at you, and we saw you at the back of the stage. It was almost to say, what's going on here?
I wouldn't be a poker player, and I know that my facial expressions can pretty much give the way I'm feeling. And that was the strategy, was to get out quickly. I haven't been winning the bull lately, and again, I was closer to treble 14 than the bullseye in the back stage. So the intention was breaking first leg. And I was hitting double 16, I felt like I got off first start every go, but my scoring just wasn't there, and arguably he's the most informed player at the moment. He won the Euros last week, he final on the Pro Tour this week, and such a dangerous opponent. So, and I did something which I've never done before and stayed on the stage. It was so cool, when you're playing in some of them Euros, and I think the match play, you've got to get off that stage and try and get a breather, where it was really cool. It wasn't a huge crowd last night. So I decided to stay on the stage, and I think that worked a little bit. So it was a great fighting win, and it just showed a different aspect to my game that arguably I was a huge front runner in the BDO. If I went in front, I would probably go on and win the game. So I'm showing real fighting determination now that even when I'm down, I'm coming back and winning.
What was it like playing in this format for the first time? Because obviously I know you do back home, you played double in still, but the first time on a TV stage, what was that like?
Well, I haven't played double in for about 5 years, but my mentality was I went unbeaten for 6 years. Local league, yes, but one leg, 401s, 501s, and everybody, I had a huge target on my back in Middlesbrough. So to win some of them games was really tough. So I didn't put an awful lot of practice. There was a bit of kidology that I've been hammering the double off, and really I didn't. And what I was thinking is that I believe in my ability on double 16, and I believe I'm the best double 16 hitter in the world. I have to think that. I sort of look at my game a little bit like James Wade. We're not the biggest scorers in the world, but anything from 64 to 119, I think I'm as good as anybody. So my mentality was going in there is I love double 16. I throw 1,000 darts per night. If that goes in, I've got a chance.
We spoke to Chris Dobie earlier this morning, and he said that you two had a good chat in the practice about going, and he's gone with the plan of going 16s to 57, and he said you two spoke about it, but you didn't last night. Is that something that you may address because the adjustment's easier, or will you continue to go 32 to 60?
Can I just say what a great lad Chris Dobie is, and that's the beauty of each day in the PDC. I'm beginning to have friends. I'm beginning to join certain groups within the PDC now. But that lad is special. He's such a nice lad. He knocked on my hotel door yesterday morning. I've got this charity night coming out for my very first darts club, my very first darts captain who recently died, and he brought the shirt. He's a great young lad, and I really hope he goes on to be a a world champion, multiple world champion. And I was never going to go 17s. Like you've just said there, I've played darts 20, 30 years, double off. And I've always gone double 16, then treble 20. I understand the taking off of treble 19 because it'll take off the odd number, etc., etc. But no, I'll continue working on. So tonight I'm meeting Jermaine Watamina for an hour or so, and I'm going to work on that transition of double 16 onto treble 20 because that was the disappointment last night.
Now, provisionally in the top 32 in the world for the World Championships as well. Could you ever imagine that when you started at 128 less than 10 months ago, you'd be in that top 32?
I'm a real statistician and I love my numbers, and my job for 30 years was very much target driven, and numbers. I can't barely spell my name at times. I'm not great with words, but numbers I've always been affiliated with. So straight away I went on Burton's Twitter account. He didn't put no tables on, and then I was flicking through my Twitter and found, I think it's Darts P. Something like that, and he's got loads of stats on there, and to see that I was provisionally 32 is something that I've saved. So when you're sat in an aeroplane, when you're sat in a hotel on your own, because it's not the glorious lifestyle of being a professional dart player. I'm in a hotel room for 7 days. I'm missing my wife, my friends and family. It's not that good. So I do like to then, just look at some of the stats that are out there. The most 180s, the highest finishes, etc. So to see myself at 32 was a real plus this morning.
With a win here, the top 16 is a real possibility in your first year.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, as much as I love my numbers, top 32 is because it's first round of the Ali Pali. Then you're suddenly instantly getting 15,000 quid on your rankings as well. So, and the possibility, if you're 32, playing Michael as well, which would be a dream at Ali Pali. So all them things are going through my head. But they also look behind me, classy players like Vincent and Ricky Evans are just right behind me. So it's not just a case of looking up, but a great run this week, and that sets me up nicely, that's for sure.
Looking at the rest of the year, we've got so much to look forward to, so many TV titles. Would the icing on the cake be to win just one TV title in your first year, or is that still a dream?
No, that's a dream. I'm a nice run at Ali Pali. I was obsessed with the match play, so that's gone now. Looking at numbers, I'm on 30 grand already for the match play next year. So I'm on 30-something thousand for the Grand Prix next year. So you can see I'm one of them guys who looks at the rankings. I think I had an interview with Peter Wright last night, which I watched this morning, and I had a rankings for I am, so I know exactly where I am for next year now. Am I thinking about winning a tournament? No, so that would probably be the wrong answer, isn't it? But I realise I've got an excellent opportunity with the double off, because I believe that's a real leveller. Rather than the standard games. So it'll be interesting to play Rob Cross, who won last night against Mensah. I knew I was in the toughest quadrant, really. That Christoph, then Rob Cross, potentially Peter Wright, Jermaine. I knew I was in a really, really tough section there. So it's difficult to think that you're going to win. I think when I was at the match play, I was in the semis. Then I dared to dream. But right now, there's too many obstacles in the way before I'm thinking of winning it.
Just touching on the match play, like you said there, is that the tournament where you really announced yourself as a PDC professional? Because I know it was your dream to go and play there, and you were just starstruck to be in that first round, but you really catapulted yourself onto a world dominant level that week. Just
to sort of get a little synopsis, really, in a sense that, I went through Q school. There was a moment where I felt like I'm part of the PDC now against Simon Whitlock at the Pro Tour about a fortnight ago, and not one person was watching. And that was a great moment for me. Now, as madness as I had all the euphoria of the match player and making my statement there, I don't feel the eyes are on me no more now. I walk in onto the Barnsleys, the Wiggins, and it's morning Glen, from the usual people. I'm not that guy now that's the BDO champion, let's go and see how he, can he walk the walk, talk the talk, etc., etc. So I feel part of the PDC now. I do feel like the BDO seems a long, long time ago now. and the match play was just the most exhilarating week, and probably on a par with my first Lakeside. It was that good, and yeah, I made a statement. You know, when you're beating people like Adrian, Lewis, James Wade, Michael Van Gerwen, it put me on, it put me on the map. It got me 10,000 more followers on my Twitter account. You know, so the exposure you get off Sky and the production and everything, it was just the most immense week. But I try not to look back, Phil. You've got to keep looking forward. And I read the Ryan Giggs, we know when he retired, and if he sat and thought about all the Premiership titles he won, he would never have moved forward. So I'm sort of using that philosophy really, is that as much as the match play was amazing, I've just got to keep looking ahead, the Grand Prix, fingers crossed the Grand Slam, who knows what's happening there. Then you've got Minehead, you've got the Euro Championships, Ali Pallies. It's such the business end of the season now, and I've got to be right on top of my game.
Just touching on what you said there about the Slam, I'm guessing you've had no contact from the BDO, because I know last time we spoke you said you were going to email Des just to ask the question. I'm guessing that you haven't had a reply.
No, I didn't get a reply off. I don't know what's happening in the background, the truth be told, and that's why I have Mac Elkin. I don't know what's happening. Personally, I want the rankings, and I think I would like to go through the PDC qualifiers if I don't reach the final here this week, etc. But Mac, I think, feels this, if I did get a wild card off the BDO, he wants me to go down that route. But I wouldn't get the ranking points then, so it's a tough decision, which now's probably Mac's not talking to me about it. Whether he knows anything or not, I don't know, but I'll leave all that to him. But the decision could be at one point, do I go through the qualifiers or do I take an invitation off the BDO? And I've read the social media, and it is split down the middle. Yes, he should play as the BDO champion. No, he shouldn't. He's walked out on the BDO. He's a P. I get both of them. I really genuinely, if I'm not chosen, I won't be spitting me dummy out. I totally see both sides of the story there. I'm not a BDO player now, and I would understand that the 8th player in the BDO would be pretty miffed if they chose a now PDC player who is still the BDO champion. So there's a decision to make. I mean, there's Leighton Bennett in the equation, Suzuki in the equation there, so there's some decisions to be made.
I'm not sure if you're aware, going back to Ali Pally as well, that you could make history at Ali Pally, that you could be the only person ever to hold both world titles at the same time if you were to win Ali Pally. I know it was on social media the other day, I'm not sure if you'd seen it, but does that give you extra motivation as well, that you could do something that no one else in darts has ever done?
I knew that. Honestly, I'm a darts connoisseur. I know my stats. I can tell you past champions of this. And I knew, even when I got through Q School, imagine if I was the Ali Pally champion. Is it extra motivation? I'm not so sure it is. I mean, there's 96 players, 128, whatever it is. And what I've learned about the PDC is the 128th player can beat number one. Everybody's got such an amazing game in them. I've had 100 averages against me and lost. I've had 100 averages and lost. So I think the extra motivation would be there if you're reaching the quarters, the semis. A little bit like the match play again, similar to my last answer there, that I was beginning to dare to dream when I played Michael Smith. I thought I could go on and win this now. And then look what happened then. So really, it would be just the most amazing thing to be the PDC and the BDO champion, and it would be like the unified champion.
Glenn, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you here in Dublin as always. Thank you for taking time out to speak to us on your day off, and wish you all the very best against Rob Cross tomorrow night, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you.